Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk to you about firearm finishes. Firearm finishes do a number of things. First of all, they protect the rifle or handgun from the elements, from wear, things like that. This Colt 6920 has a standard factory finish, which is a black anodized finish over its aluminum body. Now, not only do finishes protect the firearm, but in some cases, the finish can also be used to camouflage or hide the firearm. If you're a hunter, if you're in the military and law enforcement, or even a civilian interested in self-protection, hiding your rifle, making it not stand out, oftentimes like black does against the background, can be important. Let's take a look at a firearm finish by Nick Industries called Cerakote. This is Cerakote. That's on a Stag Model 3. I bought this Stag rifle brand new from my local gun shop, Bly Sports in Valparaiso, Indiana. I bought it with the purpose of having it Cerakoted, and the Cerakote that I chose was this coyote color. Cerakote offers over 31 different colors now, I believe, available for firearm finishes. You can also do it to knives, handguns, rifles, shotguns, things like that. I want to talk to you a little bit more about this Cerakote finish and talk about some of the properties of it, talk about how durable it is, and show you a few tests I've done to the finish itself. Cerakote is a finish that you can apply yourself, or you can have it professionally applied by a company which Nick calls an applicator. There are two different types of Cerakote available, a C and an H version. The C cures at ambient temperatures, room temperature in essence. Then there's the H version, which is meant to be cured by oven or thermal. When you cure it, when you use the thermal version, it bakes that finish onto the firearm, and it makes it almost indestructible. I say almost, it's not indestructible, but it's one of the most durable finishes I've found compared to competitors like Cerakote, which really isn't all that durable in my opinion. Cerakote has the benefit of being affordable and something you can apply yourself. It doesn't require oven curing, but it's not all that durable. I found that it comes off slides of handguns very easily, and it wears very quickly off firearms on high friction parts like bolt carriers and things like that. That's where Cerakote comes in. Cerakote, if you use the H version that's applied by thermal processes, it will become extremely durable. It has its own self-lubricating properties. How is that possible? Cerakote is based on ceramics, and I think we all know just how durable ceramics are and how resistant to heat they are. As a matter of fact, in my research, I've discovered that the temperature that this finish is rated for is somewhere around 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. That means you cannot damage it unless you get it past 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. It won't bubble, it won't flake off. And we're going to test that a little bit here this afternoon. So you can apply it yourself, you can buy a kit from a company like Brownells, or you can send it to an applicator like I did for my rifle here. I chose to send it to an applicator because I wanted a professional finish that would be the most durable. To see how well Cerakote holds up to heat, I'm going to fire 4 magazines of Brown Bear steel-cased ammunition quickly through the rifle. Now folks, keep in mind, I have not applied any lubrication to this weapon whatsoever. I took it right out of the box after getting it back from Cerakote, put the rifle back together, and put no lubrication whatsoever on the rifle. I'm wanting to see if it actually holds up and has the self-lubricating properties that Cerakote advertises. So far, the rifle has fired a couple hundred rounds with 0 malfunctions. I'm going to fire, again, 4 magazines quickly through the rifle. I'm going to take my thermal sensor here, get a measurement. We're starting off around 77 degrees. I'm going to see just how hot I can get this gas block with a few magazines fired to test to see how well it holds up to heat. It's hitting the camera lens there. That's always bad. And this will be our last magazine. See if I can avoid hitting the camera lens. All right, it is smoking hot. I've discolored the gas tube, which was brand new. You might be able to see that in there. Not sure. Let's go ahead and see how hot that gas block is. about 380 degrees. About 380 degrees on the gas block. Same for the barrel, it's 229 degrees. And I honestly don't see any discoloration, any bubbling, any adverse effects on the Cerakote itself. So let's talk about some of the tests I conducted to this rifle before I got it out here this afternoon and started shooting it. Once I received this rifle back from Cerakote, it was completely in pieces. I sent it to them completely stripped down. I took the upper receiver and I sat it outside in northwest Indiana's crazy weather for a period of 3 weeks. I applied no lubrication to this upper receiver whatsoever. I simply put it in a box, a plastic container, nailed it down to my railing outside, and let it sit out there for 3 weeks, exposing it to temperatures ranging from 60 degrees all the way down to temperatures in the low teens. Rain, freezing rain, snow, everything. It was exposed to for a period of 3 weeks. And I brought it back inside, rinsed it off, and took a look at it, and absolutely no signs of any type of corrosion at all. And when I say I rinsed it off in tap water. I've never applied any lubrication to any part of this rifle. Now for the lower receiver, I did something else. I took some boiling hot water, some sea salt, and mixed the two together in a 30-to-1 mixture. I used boiling water to completely dissolve the salts and also to apply some heat to the finish when it was being submerged in the salt bath. I let this lower receiver, about half of it, set in that salt bath solution for a period of 24 hours. After 24 hours had passed, I took the receiver out, laid it on a towel in front of the bowl, and let it sit there for 72 hours, let that salt work on the finish. Now again, I've done nothing to lubricate either the upper or lower of this rifle after doing these tests. You'll notice that the finish is even on the lower, even though the lower half was the only part that was exposed to the salt. And you'll notice that the upper receiver and that lower receiver still match perfectly, despite being exposed to the elements outside. So I put the rifle back together after rinsing everything off in tap water and brought it out here to do some shooting to see how it held up to the wear of being fired and using steel-cased ammunition. So far, about 400 rounds in, I'm very impressed with this rifle. While Cerakote is very durable, it's not impervious to all types of wear, I found. For example, this muzzle device has been Cerakoted black, and when I put it on with a steel wrench, I caused a little bit of damage there on that right edge, which is normal. Anytime you put a flash suppressor on an AR-15, you can expect to mar it a little bit if you don't use a non-marring wrench. I just used a standard old wrench, and it caused a little bit of damage, to be expected. Also, I've noticed a little bit of wear. All the trigger components are Cerakoted, and you'll notice it's starting to buff or shine the hammer, the carrier, and the firing pin, which is to be expected. I've never seen an AR-15 M16 trigger component that didn't wear there. I've also noticed here where the bolt charging handle clips back into the receiver, it's starting to wear just a little bit. Again, I've never seen an AR-15 that didn't have wear there. The carrier seems to be holding up pretty well. It's Cerakoted. Seeing just a little bit of wear on the rails, about 500 rounds fired or so, but nothing too bad and certainly not unexpected. So even though it's a very durable finish, it's not impervious completely to all types of wear. The ejection port buffer is one of those areas that's a high wear area I've discovered over the years, especially when shooting steel-cased ammunition. What happens is the rifle ejects the casing back, in this case steel casings, about 400 rounds of it, and it whacks that deflector. It'll start to erode the aluminum material and also take the finish off. I wanted to see if the Cerakote would flake or how it would wear. After 400 rounds, we can see some carbon buildup. You can start to see a little bit of deformation of the material, the metal, but the Cerakote's not flaking. It's holding up really, really well. Also inside the rifle, you can see the carbon buildup from being fired, but those shiny spots are just carbon. It hasn't worn through the finish on the receiver, and again, I've applied absolutely no lubrication to this rifle. If you're a hunter, one of the things that you're going to be worried about is how well does your rifle hold up to being banged around in the woods. Bark can play hell on finishes. Just rubbing bark on a finish can scratch it up pretty bad. I've been out here rubbing this thing on the bark for a while. You'll notice here on the Midwest Industries rail, which has just a standard oxidized finish, it's starting to damage that pretty good. But on the Cerakote, that bark just wipes right off. Now all the small parts on this rifle are Cerakoted as well. The selector lever, the bolt hold, the dust cover, all the small parts, including the buffer tube, are all Cerakote finished. So they're black, and then we have the Coyote Cerakote finish here on the receiver. It holds up very well. Okay guys, some final thoughts on the Cerakote finish. Overall, I'm very impressed with the Cerakote finish. It's been very durable. It's held up better than I honestly expected it to with some of the things that I've done to it, including the salt bath, rubbing it up and down the side of a tree, things like that. It's done pretty well. Now, I have seen some wear on the rifle. I've noticed that there's some wear on the bolt carrier, for example, and I've seen a little bit of wear inside the receiver, places where the charging handle clips on, things like that, but that's not surprising. I've never met an AR-15 that didn't have signs of wear in those areas. Overall, I'm impressed with its ability to hold up to heat, and it does so quite well, probably because it's based on ceramics. I've also noticed that because the finish is so thinly applied, it's only about 1 mil thick, it's so thinly applied that when I took the barrel off the upper receiver and sent it in, I was kind of concerned when it came back that it wouldn't fit properly into the upper receiver. It dropped right in. None of the components had any fitment issues after having the Cerakote applied. Now, I can't tell you guys exactly how much it costs. It varies depending on the size of your rifle. If you want a camo pattern, which you can apply camo patterns to the rifle or handgun if you would like. It all depends on your applicator, or if you want to do it yourself, like I said, you can buy Cerakote from companies like Brownells. So I'll put a link down below if you want to get a price quote for your rifle. You can find an applicator near you and ask them just how much it would cost. You're looking at, anywhere between 150, 200 bucks, maybe 300 bucks, depending on what you do to the firearm. If you guys have any questions about Cerakote, you can swing by our Facebook page and ask those questions there. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/militaryarms. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.